I couldn't believe the amount of time and effort I'd invested into planning my wife's birthday. From the very beginning, it was my idea, every detail, every cent spent, every late-night brainstorming session. It was all for her. I wanted the night to be perfect for the woman I had been married to for 4 years, the one I had built my life around. The venue was incredible, a rooftop downtown with a breathtaking view of the city skyline. I had gone all out, arranging for a 5-layer cake blending her 2 favorite flavors, chocolate and vanilla, and even a champagne tower. The glasses were stacked high, glimmering in the lights, just like something you'd see in a movie. I'd paid extra to have fairy lights strung up and even had exotic flowers flown in from around the world, flowers she'd always dreamed of having in her bouquet. It cost a fortune, but I didn't care. This night was supposed to be about making her feel like the star of the show. I stood there in my finest suit, watching her mingle with our 60 guests, family, friends, people we'd known for years. She looked stunning in the dress we'd picked out months earlier, her hair shimmering under the lights. I was proud, although exhausted. This was what marriage was about, right? Making her happy. But then she grabbed the microphone. I expected a heartfelt speech or a thank you for everything I'd done. Instead, she raised her glass and began speaking about Damon Rivera. She called him her guiding light and talked about how he had been there for her through the hardest times. I stood frozen, a smile still on my face, but inside I felt everything shift. Damon, her colleague, the one she mentioned a few times, always casually, as if it meant nothing. Now, standing there, I felt a knot form in my chest. I forced myself to breathe, hoping she'd mention me next. But no. Instead, she turned to me with a small smirk, as if she was about to make a joke. She handed me a small gift bag. "For you, honey," she said, her tone playful. People laughed, thinking it was cute. I opened the bag, expecting a small gift, maybe a tie or a watch, but instead, inside was a black designer t-shirt, folded neatly. I pulled it out and held it up, and there it was in bold white letters, divorced. The room went silent for a moment, and then a few nervous laughs filled the air. She grinned as if she had just cracked the funniest joke ever, like she had won some sort of comedy award. My hands trembled as I stared at the word divorce on the shirt. After years of marriage, all the sacrifices, sleepless nights, paying bills, and planning things like this was how she chose to celebrate. My throat burned. I could feel every pair of eyes on me, waiting for my reaction. I could have screamed. I could have thrown the shirt back at her and stormed out, but I didn't. Instead, I laid the gift bag down on the table and pulled out the Cartier bracelet I had bought her. Her real birthday gift. It was gold, elegant, and expensive, something I had saved up for because I knew she would love it. I placed it on the table next to the cake where everyone could see it and walked away without saying a word. The cold night air hit my face as I stepped outside, sharp and biting. But I didn't stop. The sound of the party faded behind me. The hum of conversation, the clinking of glasses, the buzz of confusion. My shoes clicked against the pavement, each step louder in my mind. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it might break my ribs. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going back. Not for her. Not for anyone. That t-shirt wasn't a joke. It was a declaration, and I wasn't about to stand there pretending everything was fine just to grieve over her. I had put everything into building my own life recently, work, managing Sasha and Omar's startup, and I felt stronger than I had in years. If she was falling apart, that was on her. Mark texted me an hour later. Damon quit. She's scrambling at work. Damon, her so-called guiding light. I didn't know the details, and neither did Mark, but I could see what was happening. She had built her whole image around him, leaned on him for support. Now that he was gone, she was unraveling. I didn't feel triumphant, but I didn't feel sorry either. I had moved on. I went back to my work spreadsheet, the numbers blurring for a moment before I refocused. Work was my anchor now. The next day, I got a call from Lisa, someone closer to my wife, who I hadn't completely severed ties with yet. She hesitated at first, unsure if I would want to hear what she had to say. She told me about a podcast my wife had tried to launch. It flopped, one episode, and people hated it. I was driving home at the time, the city lights blurring as I passed by. I barely responded, just a short, aha, here and there. Lisa continued talking about how my wife was posting online again, trying to win back her followers, but it wasn't working. People kept bringing up the party, the one with the t-shirt. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. That damn t-shirt. I didn't say much more, just let Lisa ramble until she finally quieted down. I thanked her for the update and hung up. I didn't need to hear any more. She was unraveling piece by piece, and I wasn't surprised. She had always been good at standing tall when things were easy, when others like me were propping her up, but when those supports were gone, she didn't know how to stand on her own. Meanwhile, my own life was picking up. A week later, Gregory called me into his office and slid a paper across the desk. "You're speaking at a conference next month," he said. It was a local business event, and Nate specifically requested me. He laughed when he saw my surprised face. "Yep, you've been killing it lately. People are noticing." I walked out of his office feeling on top of the world. It wasn't a huge seminar, but it was mine, something I had earned. Then the big opportunity came. I received an email from someone I had met at a conference years ago, a well-known professor type. He was hosting a business conference in Dubai and invited me to guest lecture. "Your name's been coming up a lot," he wrote. I read the email again, the words sinking in, from a guy who had once spent all his money on her birthday party to someone receiving invites halfway across the world. I said yes without hesitation. That night, I met up with Sasha and Omar at the diner. Their software was still a bit slow, a little messy, but it was moving forward. I had invested a chunk of my savings, and they were grateful. "You're like our secret weapon," Sasha grinned over his coffee. Omar, quieter but just as eager, nodded in agreement. I felt needed, valued, in a way I hadn't felt with her. Back at my apartment, I pinned the Dubai conference invitation to my vision board, next to my dreams of Thailand and the house sketch I had been working on. Running kept me grounded. Every morning I hit the pavement, my breath fogging in the cool air. I was up to 6 miles now. My body leaner, my mind clearer. She was fading, her job, her podcast, her online following, all slipping away. Meanwhile, I was on the rise. Seminars, lectures, startups. The world that had once revolved around her was now turning toward me, and I wasn't looking back. I didn't hate her. I didn't think about her all that much. But knowing she was struggling while I was climbing, that felt like justice.